and welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy and I'm coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Thursday, June 12th, 2025. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and crocheting to share with you all. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I have a few finished objects to share with you all today. The first is another crocheted baby blanket. I was working on this on the last episode. This is the 3rd time that I have crocheted this pattern using a free YouTube tutorial by Jana Martinez. I have always used the tutorial called How to Crochet a Beautiful Shells Blanket in One Color, but I've never made it in one color. She does have other tutorials showing the same stitch using more than one color, I'm pretty sure. But I've just always referred to this specific tutorial, and then I just change colors whenever I want to or need to according to the amount of yarn that I'm using. For this blanket, I was using, I started off using 3 different colorways. I had 2 cakes of yarn by Knitting Fever in their painted cotton. The first colorway was called Castaway, and that one is kind of in this area. It had purple, light pink, and turquoise in it, as well as some white sections. Let's see if I can find, it's kind of hard because it's all mixed up. So here's some white sections from that Castaway color. And then I had a second cake of that same yarn, but that second cake didn't have a label on it, and so I'm not sure what the colorway was called, but that one you can see here was lots of pinks, purples, and like a brighter pink, a light pink, and a purple color. Anyway, so I was using those 2 cakes of yarn, and then I also had about a skein and a half of some I Love This cotton in the Sprinkle Me This colorway. So the Knitting Fever cotton was 100% cotton, and the I Love This cotton is 83% cotton, 8% acrylic, and 7% viscon, and 2% polyamide, or polyester. I think polyester. I just wrote down poly in my notes, but I think it was polyester. Anyway, so I was using those 3 colorways, and I had the 2 cakes that I was using, I believe were each 100 grams, and then the I Love This cotton was less than that. I had a little bit less than that. Anyway, so the way that I tried to figure out the best way to use up what I had was I did 4 rounds using the pinky colored one, and then 2 rounds of the I Love This cotton, and then 4 rounds of the Castaway colorway. And then I repeated those for as long as I could. And I think every time I've made this blanket, I've kind of been playing a bit of yarn chicken, or just trying to manage the yarn that I had. With all 3 blankets, I've always made them with a limited amount of yarn, I guess I should say. So that was the case in this one as well. I was able to follow that repeat. Oh no, I can't remember. I think I only was able to do it twice. Once here, and then I repeated that a second time here. I just kept using up what I had until I ran out of yarn. When I completely ran out of all of that yarn, I didn't have enough to make another round. It wasn't quite big enough to what I was hoping it would be. So I had to break into some other yarn. So the last 4 rounds are using a different colorway, which was called Premier Cotton Batik in Lush Lavender. And that's what the last 4 rounds are using. All of this yarn was gifted to me by viewers of this channel. So that was so kind. So nice to be able to make a blanket that, yeah, is completely out of gifted yarn. That's so neat. And this I will be gifting also to somebody down the road. I do have some family well, a family friend who is expecting a baby girl next month. So this one might go to her. Anyway, that Premier cotton was also 100% cotton. Let's see, I started this blanket on May 25th and finished it on June 3rd. I used a 4.5 millimeter hook, and the blanket measures 32 inches square. So I think it's a nice size now. And I've been making a lot of baby blankets using cotton yarn lately, and I just really love, well, it's really great for babies that are born in the summertime because the blanket is still not, you know, useful but not too hot. And I just really like the feel of cotton blankets. They have, it seems like they have more of a weight to them than blankets made out of other fibers. And I just think that's really comforting. I don't know, I just like the feel of cotton blankets. So I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I love this pattern so much. It's such a beautiful feminine-like stitch, I think. I just think the shell pattern is so pretty. I love it so much. I think that covers it for this one. I had mentioned that I wanted to do another corner to corner blanket using up some scraps, and since some of those scraps I was going to be using was this purple cotton batik, Premier cotton batik yarn, and since I used it for this blanket, then I don't have quite enough of what I was planning to make the corner to corner blanket, but I have started another baby blanket, which I'll show you in my works in progress. I also just finished this morning another little baby romper. So I made another one of these a few weeks ago, and I've made this one just this morning. I finished it. Oh, I think it's so sweet. I love this pattern so much. It is called the Lazy Days Romper by Marianna Mel. It comes in a few sizes. I can't remember now how many, like 4 or 5 baby sizes. Last time I made it, I made the smallest size, and I did that again. So this is labeled as a large premature or small newborn size. It's made using DK weight yarn. I started this on June 9th and finished it just today, June 12th. I used some mystery yarn that was gifted to me again. I know that it's DK weight, and I know that it's cotton. I'm pretty sure it's 100% cotton, but it could be a cotton blend. And that's all by memory that I remember those details, but I don't know why I happen to remember that. And I can't think if I've used, I have some in this blue color, and then I have another skein in like an olive green color, and they're both the same, but I don't have a label. And I'm just remembering that that's the details of this yarn, is that it's DK weight and it's a cotton or cotton blend. So I don't know. Anyway, and it was gifted to me as well. I do remember that. Anyway, this pattern is knit from the bottom up. The pattern also comes with options to make both the romper and a dress form instead of having the, you know, it just looks the same, but just goes down straight into a dress instead of having the buttoned bottom here. Anyway, it's knit in 2 pieces from the bottom up, and then you just have to seam these little side sections together, which isn't very much. The original pattern has the straps attached to the front and then sewn to the back. But last time I made this, I thought it would be cute to attach the straps to the back and then add a buttonhole to each of the straps so that then they could be attached to the front and it looks more like overalls. And I did that again, and I just think it's so sweet. So I had these buttons on in my stash. They're just wooden buttons, and I thought they looked great with this yarn. And this is going to a family that we go to church with that is expecting a baby boy very soon, their first, and so that's very exciting. I am planning to gift this to them this upcoming Sunday, so I really wanted to try to work this up as quickly as possible. I do have a little bit of yarn left over, and so I'll show you in my works in progress. I am currently making a pair of socks to go along with this as well, And I'm not sure if I have enough to make a hat as well, but if I do, I will make a hat. And the last time I made this pattern, I made the Rye Socks and the Barley hat, both patterns by Tin Can Knits, and I made it as a set to go with this romper. And that's what I'm planning on doing if I have enough of the blue yarn to do those projects. But anyway, very, very happy that I was able to make this. I think it is such a sweet pattern. I love it so much. I've also been able to finish a few more dishcloths. Last time I recorded an episode, I was working on this blue one and I made 2 of them. I use the Classic Easy Knit Dishcloth, a free pattern by Carolyn Stanton, also known as Caroselle Design. And this yarn that I used is Red Heart Eco Cotton Blend in denim. It's 75% recycled cotton, 25% acrylic worsted weight. And I start these, well, I only increase these to 52 stitches, which is smaller than what the pattern calls for. And then when I decrease at the end, I only decrease down to 4 stitches, and then I don't bind those stitches off. I just cut a long tail and weave it through. So I just got interrupted because the mail carrier just dropped off this huge bag. Guess what it is? It is, well, I haven't opened it yet, but feeling it, I'm pretty sure it's full of yarn from a viewer of this channel named Carolyn. So thank you so much, Carolyn. I will just go ahead and open this up at the end of the episode and see what's in here if y'all want to check it out. So great timing that it's arrived just as I'm recording a video. Okay, back to the dishcloths. So I was saying that I don't bind off those last 4 stitches. When I get to the end of the dishcloths, I just cut a long tail and weave it through the last 4 stitches. And that helps me to get a rounded corner at the end of my dishcloth. If you follow a lot of dishcloth patterns, you end up getting more of a pointed end at the end that you bind off, and the other corners are pretty rounded. So anyway, I just have found that that method works great. So I use a US 6 4mm needle to make these dishcloths, and like I said, I was able to make 2 of the dishcloths using that denim colorway. And then I made one using some scraps left over from the blanket that I showed you in my last episode. So I had, well, I only used 2 different colorways in this. They're both Bernat Cotton Tots yarn. This one is called Cottage Garden, I think. Now I'm going off memory, which isn't great. Let's see, Cottage Colors, and then the green is called Country Garden. So I just used up what I had and did the same thing on my other ones and just, you know, changed colors when I ran out of yarn. But I like how this one turned out as well. And then I've made one more using some Lily Sugar and Cream in Denim Blue. And that's a really pretty colorway as well. So I think I am done making dishcloths for a little while. I've made a few more to have as sets. So I think I'm good for right now. I have a few more baby blankets planned using some more cotton yarn. And then if I have leftovers after I finish those blankets, I probably could use up my leftovers to make a few more dishcloths, but we'll just see how that goes. My last finished object is another classic ribbed hat, a free pattern by Purl Soho. It's designed by Jake Canton, and I have been making these on repeat lately. This is number 17 that I have made. I make the adult small size. I use US 2.75mm needles. I knit my hats to 9.5 inches in length before I do the crown decreases to give myself a little bit, well, just to give the hats a little extra length and more of a generous brim or cuff on the hats. I just prefer that. It's all done in 1x1 ribbing. They're so easy, and I just have really enjoyed making them lately. This one I started on May 30th and I finished it on June 7th. I used some mystery yarn that again was gifted to me. I believe it was fingering weight. It was maybe a sock yarn or maybe just 100% merino that's just my guess. It didn't have a label on it, but it's in these beautiful pinks and creamy yellowy colors with specks of like a charcoal. And anyway, since that was fingering weight, I think I held it double because this pattern calls for DK weight. So I held the yarn double throughout and it worked out beautifully. I really love how this one turned out. I think the colors in it are so beautiful. So here's what it looks like on. It's just a really great fit. So wonderful. I just love this pattern so much, which you can probably tell since I've just been making them over and over again. And I have also just been hanging on to these hats to give as gifts as well. I don't know to whom or if I'll just donate them. I haven't decided yet. I just have a stash of them. And I, of course, have another one on the go. It's being held in this Vera Bradley bag that I picked up at a giveaway that my grandmother's church was hosting, like a garage sale, but they didn't charge. So I called it a giveaway. And I am using some more gifted yarn. And this again is a mystery yarn. It is a light gray color, and then it's got specks of orange and a darker charcoal color in there again. And I'm doing the exact same thing again. So adult small, US 2.75 millimeter needles. Again, this is fingering weight. I'm pretty confident, and I'm holding it double. And I think that's going to work up into a really nice hat as well. This one I started on June 7th. So that's it for that. That'll be number 18 of that pattern that I am working through. Okay, more works in progress. I have an update on the crocheted top that I am making. And then the rest of the whips that I have to share with you are all new works in progress. And the Colorwork Cuff Club socks that I shared on my last episode that I need to rip back because the colorwork is too tight for some unknown reason. Anyway, I haven't touched those since I recorded my last episode. And I haven't started the new colorwork pattern for the Colorwork Cuff Club either. So I don't know. I'm just not interested in working on those right now. Okay, the shirt that I am making is a crocheted top. It was gifted to me by the designer of the tee. It's called the Around Town tee. It's designed by MadeByAsya. And again, I'm using gifted yarn. So wonderful to use all of this yarn that's been gifted to me by viewers of this channel. I'm just forever grateful. This bag was also gifted to me in a swap that I did several years ago. And last time I recorded, let's see, I've been working on both the front and the back pieces of this top for a while, and I made the most progress on the back piece first. And last time I recorded, this is crocheted from the bottom up, so I was right here where that progress keeper is marking. That was made for me by a young lady that I go to church with. And so I crocheted, this back piece is finished. I crocheted the rest of it up to there's a, shoulder shaping and some, just shaping of the stitches. It's all worked up in double crochet stitches. The yarn that I'm using, like I said, was gifted to me by Roseanna, a viewer of this channel, and it is Swoon fibers. In the base is spelled Aere. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. It's 90% cotton, 10% cashmere, and it's in the lilac colorway. I'm using a 2.75 millimeter crochet hook, and I'm crocheting size medium. I shortened the length of these pieces by 21 rows, which seems like a lot, but I was pretty sure I didn't have quite enough yarn to make it the full length, and I typically crop my tops anyway. I don't usually make my sweaters, cardigans, tops of any kind the full length that the pattern recommends, because I just prefer my tops to be a bit more cropped. But since this was crocheted from the bottom up, I was really just doing kind of a guessing game, and I thought worst case scenario, if it was too short, I could go back in at the end and crochet from the bottom down to add length to it if I wanted to, but I didn't want to make it too long and then run out of yarn before I could do all of the shoulder shaping at the top, of course. So I just decided to cut it quite short, but now that I've finished the back piece, it's not very short. I mean, this is the back piece, so I'm not putting it on right, but it goes to my waist already. So anyway, I think it might be fine, so we'll see. But anyway, I finished the back piece, very excited about that. And I am currently working on the front piece. I finished a skein, and there's still a little bit left on it, but not enough to go across a row. But I don't want to cut it because I thought I could use that for seaming up the sides. So I have this funny little ball hanging off the edge of it. Anyway, I haven't added much to this piece. Oh, that's funny. I haven't even added one row to this piece. I thought I had done a little bit more than that, but nope. Last time I recorded, I was on that row and I have not even done half of a row. That's funny. I don't know why I had thought that I had done more than that, but that's all I got for you on the front piece. So I've got quite a ways to go on that. I put it aside because I really wanted to get that baby romper finished before Sunday, so I've been focusing on that the last few days. I started this on April 28th, so I'm hoping it will be done pretty soon. I've also, like I mentioned, am making a pair of the Rye socks to go along with the baby romper. So here's a look at that yarn and the messy, that's very messy, skein of yarn. That's what I am using. And I am making a tiny pair of Rye socks. So last time I made a pair of these Rye socks to go along with the first baby romper that I made the newborn size according to the Rye Socks pattern by Tin Can Knits, but they turned out too large. So then I adjusted my stitch count to make a smaller pair, and that's what I'm doing again for these. So I have only cast on 24 stitches, and then I'll follow the measurements for how long to make the leg and the foot for the newborn size, but I am only using 24 stitches, whereas the newborn size in the Rye pattern calls for more than that. I don't know how many more, I can't remember, but anyway, I just started these this morning, so I haven't gotten far on them, but it's just you just do 1 by 1 ribbing for 1/2 of an inch, and then it goes into a garter stitch panel. There's a garter stitch panel that runs down the front of the sock, and then the back of the socks are done in plain stockinette. I'm using US 2.75 millimeter needles for this project as well. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about these. I'm doing them 2 at a time like I do with all of my socks, just because I think that's easier. So I make sure that they match. I just prefer to make my socks 2 at a time. So that's what I'm doing. Those should be done today though. They work up so extremely quickly because they're super tiny and it's DK weight yarn, so they work up in very little time. Okay, I have started 3 new crocheted blankets. I was just, I just got a hankering to crochet up some patterns that I wanted to try out, and so that's what I've done. It's my favorite thing to crochet blankets. So I have started 3 new ones and I'm excited to share them with you. I really don't remember which one I started first. Let's see, not that it really matters, but I'm kind of curious now that I'm talking about it. Okay, the first one I grabbed here is the first one that I started. So I'll go in order of what I started first. The first one comes from this Leisure Arts book called A Year of Afghans, Book 5. I have several of these A Year of Afghan books because I really love them. There's still a few that I don't have in my collection, but I am excited to maybe add them at some point. This one was published in the year 2000. And the pattern that I am making is called Garden Romance. Here is a picture of it. And I thought this stitch looked super beautiful and I wanted to give it a try. And I'm really enjoying it. The yarn that I'm using, I showed off in my last episode. It was some of the yarn that Mickey sent my way in the huge box of yarn that she gifted. And she sent me a message, so I was able to communicate with her. Last time I said I couldn't figure out how to communicate with her. And she let me know that this yarn that she sent to me, there were 3 packages in these plastic bags, and it didn't have a ton of information on it, but she let me know that it is actually Caron, probably Caron Simply Soft. I don't know the 3 colorways that she sent me, but anyway, it came in these. So she must have gotten it some kind of a bargain, maybe. And it did say something about it being ends. Mill end assortment, it says on the bag. So I don't know how she came across it, but anyway, she sent me 3 different colorways of this yarn. And I wanted to work them up into a blanket, so that's what I'm doing. And I already have all 3 colors worked up into this pattern, and here's how it's looking. I am not making any adjustments to the pattern. I'm just following it as it calls for. I'm using an H 5mm hook, and it's just a 2-row repeat, and you switch colors every 2 rows. Actually, is it a 2-row repeat? No, you just do the same. It's just a 1-row repeat basically, but the stitches at the edges do change according to where you're at in the pattern. So that's the only difference. So it's a pretty easy pattern. I just have kept the pattern close at hand to make sure that I'm doing the edges correctly. Anyway, then you change your color every 2 rows. And I think this is going to be really pretty. So it should be a pretty big throw size. Where did I put that book? Oh, here it is. It's supposed to measure 64 inches wide by 46 inches wide by 63 inches tall. So they use more colors in that sample that I showed you, but I'm only going to use these 3 colors and just change every 2 rows. And I have an equal amount of these 3 colors, so it should work out. I hope so. So I'm excited to be working on that. I'm holding that in this beautiful basket that I thrifted. And then I've also started another baby blanket, like I mentioned, and that one's being held in this basket, probably also thrifted, but I don't know, I've had this basket for so long, I can't even remember where I got it from. I'm making a free pattern that is available on the Yarnspirations website. It is called Juicy Fruits and Whipped Cream Throw. Can't really see it well because they've put a model sitting on top of it, which is a little funny. But anyway, the pattern, do they have an up close view? No, they don't. That's it. The pattern I just thought looked really cool and I wanted to give it a try, and it is. It's another really fun pattern, and it's another one that is a 4-row repeat. Yeah, it's a 4-row repeat, but again, it's actually only 2 rows this time that are repeated. But again, the edging stitches vary according to which row you're on, but it's not difficult. I am using, is this all gifted again? Yes, it absolutely is. This is all gifted yarn. This is all 100% yarn. These are the colorways I'm going to be using. Can you see them all? So they've all got kind of a pink, cream, burgundy, brownish theme going on here. And my plan, I have this big skein of Sprightly yarns, and this is in the color Ecru. It's 100% cotton, and it is 300 grams. And then I have 2 skeins of this yarn. It's Yarn Bee Pima Suprema in the Merlot colorway, and these are each 100 grams. So I have quite a bit of these two. And then I also have 2, I'm pretty sure they were full skeins of Bernat Cotton Tots in the Dollhouse colorway. And these are each, how many grams? 85 grams each. So I have quite a bit of those as well. And then I have 1 skein of Peaches and Cream in the Mocha Swirls colorway. 1 skein that is not labeled, but it's probably, you know, could be that same brand. And then 1 more Bernat Cotton Tots, this one in the Earth Child colorway. So my plan is, I think what will work out, I hope what will work out, is to work. I started off with the Merlot colorway at the bottom, and then I did 2 rows in one of the variegated colors, and then 2 rows in the Ecru colorway, and then 2 rows in a different variegated colorway. So that's my plan, is to follow that pattern. So Merlot variegated, Ecru variegated, and follow that pattern. I think that will work out. We'll see. Now this blanket pattern is, the pattern calls for you to cast or chain more stitches when you start it because it's supposed to be a throw size, but I only chained, oh, I didn't do this one next. I did this one third, but anyway, that doesn't matter. So I forgot to mention that I started the Garden Romance Afghan on May 31st. I started this one on June 6th. I'm sorry, June 5th. Anyway, the pattern calls for you to chain 152 stitches, but I only chained 105 stitches to make a baby blanket size. And I'm using a 5mm hook again. I think that this pattern would probably show up better if you used all solid colors. I don't really think that the variegated colors really let this pattern shine, but you can kind of see better in this last row that I've started. The pattern has this fun crisscross stitch, and then you do a shell stitch into that on the second row. So it's a really beautiful pattern. And even though this yarn maybe wasn't the best choice to use variegated yarn in this pattern, I still think it's going to be absolutely beautiful worked up together. And it's a really fun pattern to work up. So I'm enjoying this one a lot. I think it'll be so beautiful in those colors too. Okay, and then the third blanket that I started is one that I have done before pretty recently. In my last episode, I shared that I had finished a baby blanket size of the Beachside Throw, which is another blanket that came from a Leisure Arts pamphlet that I have. Here it is. It took me a minute to find it. It comes from this Cozy Comfort Afghans booklet that I got from the thrift store. And this pattern is available to purchase on its own. So I will link to that. Here is a picture of the Afghan. And I had mentioned that I thought that this blanket would work really well using scraps of yarn. And so that's what I have started. These aren't technically scraps. I mean, I don't know. How do you define scraps? But I have quite a few single skeins, or I have a few more skeins this is all using sport weight yarn. And I have like 3 skeins of one color, 2 full skeins, and some little mini partials left over from a different project that I made. And anyway, I know I have plenty of yarn to make a multicolored sweater, but I just made a colorwork cardigan using up a lot of my sport weight yarn scraps the Saga cardigan that I finished, I don't know, a little while ago. And so I didn't really think that I wanted to make another scrappy-ish sweater. So even though a lot of these are full skeins, but they're like 50-gram skeins. Or for example, I made a vest earlier this year, and out of this yarn from Knit Picks, it's Upcycle Alpaca Blend, and I have 2 full 100-gram skeins of that and a bunch of minis or leftovers. Anyway, it's just, all of it is just kind of like not really enough to make a I didn't know what to do with all this yarn, and I just thought it would be fun to work it up into a blanket. Anyway, my point is that I don't really have tiny little scraps going into this blanket. They're larger amounts of yarn. I chained 241 stitches to start off this blanket, which is more than what the pattern calls for, because the pattern calls for you to use worsted weight yarn. I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook. I started this on June 5th, and I'm loving it so far. So here it is. It's nice and wide. I compared it to the Garden Romance Afghan, and it's just a tiny bit, like maybe an inch or 2 wider than that one. So it's a good throw size. And I don't think I'm going to go through all the yarns I'm using. A lot of them are Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Sport. They're all woolly sport weight yarns. And I love having 100%, well actually the first 2 colors aren't 100% wool, but they're I think 50% wool. Anyway, I love having, the rest of them are all 100% wool yarns. I love having wool blankets in our home. I don't gift them because I think they're too hard to care for. I mean, just because you can't dry them. You can't wash and dry them like you normally would. You have to wash them carefully, and then I like to lay mine flat to dry. But they are just so great. I have already made just 2, I think, 100% wool blankets for our family, and we love them so much. They're so great. I guess I have made some more too. Like this one back here is pretty much 100% wool. It's a lot of sock yarn, so it's a lot of 75-25. But anyway, so I'm excited to have another 100% wool, pretty much woolly blanket in her. This will be just for our family. So when I do wash them, I just wash them on a cold or cool water setting. I set it to delicate, and then I just wash it in the washing machine, and then I just lay it flat to dry, like over somebody's bed, and they dry pretty quickly. Or down in our basement we have like a game table, and so I'll just drape it over that table maybe just to let it dry. Anyway, I love them so much. So I'm excited about this work in progress as well. Those are all of my works in progress that I have to share with you all today, but we have this package to open from Carolyn, so I will dig into it and we'll see what she has sent my way. So exciting. I did not know that this was coming. I don't know if I mentioned that, but this was another surprise gift. Oh, it's double bagged. Okay, let's see what we got here. Look at that. So pretty. I kind of recognize one of these here. Maybe. It doesn't have the label on it that I expected, but I think this is, maybe it's not, but it seems like it's the same as the Nebraska Mill Brown Sheep something. It looks just like that yarn that I have from that company, but it doesn't have their label on it, so I'm not sure. It just says 85% wool, 15% mohair. I'm pretty sure that's the same content as that other yarn that I'm used to, but anyway, it's just like, it's like a tan creamy color. And is this all the same? Oh yeah, this one does have that label. I wonder why that one doesn't have that same label, but it's Brown Sheep Company from Mitchell, Nebraska. And I'm pretty sure that's what this one is too, but maybe this is a different base. Oh, I didn't bring my glasses in here. I need to go grab my reading glasses because that's too hard for me to see it. Okay, so this is, oh, it is the same. 85% wool, 15% mohair. And then, ooh, this is a super cool green color. That's awesome. And two in this beautiful red. That's gorgeous. And one in a beautiful burgundy color. Those are awesome. Here's the note from her. Thank you so much, Carolyn. So she said that she just really enjoys watching my podcast and seeing all the things that I make. And she was destashing some yarn. And she was hoping that I could use it for the mini blankets, hats, and hats that I make for people, or other uses that I could use it for. And she wishes me many blessings. So thank you so much, Carolyn. That was so kind of you. So generous. Incredible. Okay, here, did I show you the bag? Another huge bag of this gorgeous yarn. This is the same yarn as the other bag, in this beautiful deep brown color. And a blue. This is worsted weight, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Okay, now it looks like this, the rest of this bag maybe is all Cascade 220 in a Heather's line. So this is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. Again, worsted weight, right? Yes. These colors are just so rich and beautiful. There are two in this deeper green color. That one came undone. I want to just put it back together quickly. And this beautiful teal. This is another Heather's line. That darker green was not a heathered one. And this is also Heather's in this beautiful purple. I love heathered yarn. Look at all the different variation in that. When you look at it closely, that's so beautiful. So stunning. Oh my goodness. Another one, huge bag of yarn. And then she's also included a pattern. I don't think there's any, I'm not sure if this is a paid for pattern or not, but anyway, it's a vest pattern called Warp and Weave. Can you see that through the bag? That's very pretty. There's some more Cascade in here. Is this, I don't think this is, I think this is a new green. That's so beautiful. There's three of these. This is the Heather's line as well. My dog is right outside my window. I don't know if you can hear her, but my daughter is taking her for a walk, and I think she's brought her near the house. Two of this different purple, but another beautiful purple, again in the Heather's line. Oh, they're so stunning. And two in a cream color. Gorgeous. Last bag is sealed up, so let's see what's in here. I'm always afraid I'm going to actually cut the yarn when I open up the bag. Okay, it looks like this is that same yarn that I started off with from the Brown Sheep Company, but she's caked it up. So this looks like one of the first colors that I shared with you. And this one was the very first, same as the very first one. Oh, and here's that beautiful red again. I don't know, is that a different green than what we saw at the beginning? I can't remember now. Yeah, it is a bit different than that first green. That's beautiful too. Ooh, bright pink, or like a fuchsia color. Oh, this is Cascade. Yeah, this is Cascade 220. So that one is different than the other ones there. And this is another Cascade, I bet. This is a Cascade Heathers. And this tealy blue again. I don't know if I had that exact same shade. I don't think so. The other teal was brighter and not heathered, I don't think. So, oh my goodness. So it's all worsted weight. The brown sheep has some mohair in it, but pretty much it's 100% wool worsted weight yarn. In so many vibrant, beautiful, jewel-toned colors. I just love that so much. Ooh, so exciting. Thank you so much, Carolyn. What a wonderful surprise to get that. Like I said, it was just great timing that I received it right as I was recording an episode. So thank you so much, Carolyn. I hope you all enjoyed seeing those lovely things she sent my way. And I hope you enjoyed seeing the projects I'm working on as well. And I hope that you all are enjoying the things that you are working on. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. Bye-bye.